Welcome in, Hawks fans. This is your Atlanta Hawks fan show right here for Fan Media. It's your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again to talk more about the Hawks after an exciting playoff victory last night. And we have a very special guest with us today, Carl Dukes of Dukes&Bell for 92.9 The Game. Welcome into the show, sir. How are you?
I'm great, Bryce. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. Listen, I gotta go ahead and go right into it. Atlanta right now is buzzing after last night's game against the Knicks, having that very electrifying win. Trae Young hitting the game-winning shot last night. And, I think it was a great moment for him because it was his first game. I think people had this little stigma because in the primetime games Trae that come play in this year, he didn't play his best. So this was like his first big game in prime time, and it was in Madison Square Garden, and all the things and theatrics that came with it. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on the game last night. What did you think about the game and how everything played out? A lot of people didn't shoot well last night, so it was kind of a weird, grinded out kind of game. But what did you think about the game when you watched it last night and everything that happened?
Well, first, I thought Nate McMillan's game plan was great. You limit Julius Randle to 15 points. Here's a guy that averaged 40 a game basically in the 3 games against us. So the number one thing going into this series everybody talked about was how do you contain Julius Randle? They did that, and it was a team effort. So it wasn't one guy. It wasn't DeAndre Hunter exclusively all night. They just did a great job of rotating, contesting shots. There was no easy looks. And, the irony to this is you hold Randall to 15, but Burks goes off for 27. And I don't think anybody would have imagined that. The defensive game plan was great. The shots you saw them miss last night will fall. You have to keep taking those same looks. So for Bogey and Gallo and those guys, keep shooting. I mean, Hunter last night didn't shoot the ball well either. He was 1 for 4 from 3-point land. So keep shooting those. But what happened last night is what's supposed to happen. And that is your star, your elite player, your superstar carried you. 32 points. He was almost at a triple-double. I mean, he had 7 rebounds last night. So 32 and 10 assists, that's playoff basketball. And he hit the biggest shot when it mattered most, Dukesism. So for me, at Madison Square Garden, it doesn't get any bigger. This could have happened in Milwaukee, and let's be real, Bryce, nobody would have cared as much. But because it happened at Madison Square Garden, everybody's buzzing today. It was the fact that they had a crowd for the first time. Mm-hmm. It felt real. And here our guy is in the biggest moment going, I got this. It was huge.
Yeah, definitely. And, and people forget sometimes who don't watch Atlanta how clutch Trae is. People forget his rookie year. He was actually 3rd in clutch points. So he's been a clutch player. That's never been an issue. And last night he was able to show it on the biggest stage. But that brings me into Trae. I want to talk more about Trae. Can you talk about, from the time we drafted Trae to now, his growth to this point, which you've seen from your perspective and how he's became the player he is today?
Yeah, he's always been an elite scorer. I had friends that saw him and coached with him, or coached him, should I say, in AAU. Saw him coming up. And when we started talking about this 3 years ago, having this conversation about potentially drafting Trae Young, I started to try to call all my people in basketball and find out, what do we know? What do I know? And everybody was like, the kid can score. So I said, well, him coming into the league, what's the deal? They said the scoring part's going to come easy. It's going to be just the game slowing down, him getting familiar with what they want him to do, just becoming an NBA player and learning how to be a professional. And you think about how the Hawks have operated, his first couple of years here, he had, Jeremy Lin. Then he had Vince Carter. This year they brought in other veterans. They've always tried to have a couple of veterans around to help him. Even with the move with, before we got Lou, the guard that we brought in, my mind's slipping me. Correct. That was a move to help Trae grow as a player. So with that said, his growth, I think he's right on target as to where I think he should be. I honestly think we would have been in the playoffs last year if it wasn't for all the circumstances that played out. So are we a year late? Not really. I'll take this in the fact that I think his growth is right where it needs to be. Now, I'm not going to tell you we're going to win an NBA championship, but last night he had a moment, and legacies are built in the playoffs. And so for him, now the confidence, you'll see it exude. I don't know if we win this series. I picked us to win it because I think we're deeper. And I don't think Burks can score 27 again, although I think Bogey or Gallo can. So for me, that's the difference in the trade-off. And even if Randall gets 20, from 15, I'll give Julius Randle. I expected him to have 20, 25, and he didn't last night. But I will say this about Trae. He's now done something that all stars have to go through. And that is, in a big moment, it's not about proving to everybody else that you can do it. You know what it really is about proving to yourself. And every superstar I've ever talked to has talked to me about that moment, whether it was Michael Jordan hitting the shot, whether it's a game winner where all of a sudden now your status has been elevated and everybody who doubted you and thought you couldn't do it, you've proven to yourself, and now it becomes easy. Charles Barkley told me, he said, I knew I was really good in the NBA because when I got to a point that I could score 30 a night and I knew nobody could stop me, that was just me knowing where I was. Trae is still on track, even though he's a great scorer, to get to a point where, and I've said this, on any given night, if he wants to score 40, he could, but he's much more of a distributor. And that's what I think people don't understand with the scoring. He's a pass-first guy. He doesn't want to score 40 if he doesn't have to, but he's capable.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that maturation process is really shown this year. People, like I said, they know him as a scorer. They don't know him as a playmaker, a distributor. And especially with the team we have around him now, we've added more shooters, everything. You're really seeing it, what I'm saying? And everything that he's done, and that's why other players have had some of their best seasons this year, getting them in good spots on the wing, or also with Ali's obviously, I believe he's 4 and 5 and assists to Clint and John. So that just kind of shows what he's done. And so my last question for you is just, what are your predictions going into game 2? What do you think the Hawks might need to change? What do you think they may need to stick to? What do you think is the game plan if they're going to try to take a second one in New York?
Well, New York fans aren't going to like this, and I don't care. We didn't get any calls. I want you to think about this. John Collins played 35 minutes. He didn't go to the line once. Hunter, 22 minutes. He didn't shoot a free throw. Bogey, 33 minutes. Not one free throw attempt. Gallo, 23 minutes. There is a theme here. And Lou came off the bench. Some people will say he helped save the game because he kept us in it last night with his scoring ability, which was great. And then Trae did what he did at the end. But Lou didn't shoot a free throw. So you've got 5 or 6 of your main rotational guys that didn't go to the line. But Trae went to the line 9 times and hit 9 free throws. We were lucky last night simply because the calls were not made. They let him play in the first half and then they tightened up in the second half, but it really wasn't going our way. So I would tell you that we got to get to the line. I mean, we got to force the officials to start calling some of this physical play that we saw in game 1, number 1. Number 2, I think defensively, you let them work out of this. You stay the course and you let them find a way to beat you. John Collins did a hell of a job of not allowing Randle to get to his left hand and moving the way he wants to move. So everything was contested, and they even double teamed at times where the double team forced the rotation of the ball, and that's why Burks got all those looks. But I'll take that. If you're telling me that we're going to lose to the Knicks because Alex Burks is the MVP of this series, I'll take it. I just can't have Randle do what he does and then everybody else goes crazy. So I'm going to stay the course defensively. And then offensively, we talked about it, Bryce. Just trust your teammates, man. Mm-hmm. They're going to hit those shots. And I think you could possibly come back here with a 2-0 lead, and then you're really feeling good because State Farm is going to be lit on Friday night.
Oh, for sure. Especially now that we're almost lining up to full capacity. Most definitely, man. And, I expect the Knicks to come out in game 2 and try to, if it's possible, maybe even play more physical, and that could lead into the calls you were talking about, because there's no way that I think Tom's going to do the same game plan and let Trae have the freedom he had this game. There's just no way, especially in the playoffs.
I'll tell you this. I know Tom Thibodeau he was Jeff Van Gundy's assistant in Houston. And Van Gundy and him were assistants in New York under Pat Riley. I guarantee you today and tomorrow, it's all about you don't let that little guy get in the lane like that and not put something on him. So I'm not saying they're going to play dirty, but I guarantee you Trae getting in the lane like he was with the floaters in game 1, he might get a hard foul. Not trying to intentionally hurt him, but I think Tibbs is going to say we got to collapse and make that shot a lot more difficult. And then they're going to say the same thing. You're letting Trae get in the lane with all those floaters, force him to kick it and make somebody else beat us instead of, and so you're going to see the defense collapse a lot more. I think you're absolutely right. I don't think he stays the same course.
Yeah, definitely. So I believe Nate's going to have a game plan ready. I'm sure he's going to make adjustments. He's going to probably try to predict what they're going to try to do. And I listen, he's made some very great coaching decisions throughout the season. In this game, some people even questioned that one substitution at the end with Herter for Hunter, but they said it worked out in the end. So, if you trust in what he's doing and you trust in this team, I think we have a great chance to get out of New York 2-0 going back to Atlanta. But I just want to say I appreciate you, Carr, for coming on to the show today. Let everybody know where they can find you. Also, about your show as well.
Every day, Monday through Friday, 2 to 7, Dukes&Bell on 92.9 The Game. You can find me across all social media platforms at Put 'em Up, and get at me, man. I'm around.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that was your Atlanta Hawks fan show. We'll see you next time.
To host a fan show or appear as a fan on a fan show, create a profile in Fan Media Network. Then look for the news page in our website and fan show resources page. Help yourself. We give show hosts a show graphic and team colors, a simple short show format, tips on pre- and post-production, ideas to get fans and guests on your show, Apple News distribution and show sponsorship sales and services to help featured show hosts earn money. Show hosts use our iPhone app to publish their shows. Our website supports Android users.